Turn that on silent as we begin here. Turn the phone on silent. Welcome, everybody, to the Patrick Carr Show. It is Tuesday. It's June the 2nd already as we move our way halfway through the year right now. Welcome, everyone. We got a very short show for you today because, well, listen, I have a job and have a career in a company we have to run. So me and Anthony, unfortunately, cannot sit here with you all day as much as we would absolutely love to. But luckily for you, I mean, it's a pretty slow time today in news, at least the kind of news that we like to cover here. We would love to go ahead and talk about great current events that are happening across the country. But when we see stuff like Fox News, MSNBC covering something, we figure, hey, this thing is pretty much covered. We try to bring you the things that, you know what, you may not know about, or the things that you want to make you smarter at the water cooler, at the office. Do people even go to the office anymore? I don't know. Maybe just me and you, Anthony. Yeah. Maybe I'm like the only person that forces people to still go to the office. I don't know. I just think there's something about it. I mean, if you really think about it, in all fairness, I do believe going to the office has advantages that staying at home simply does not have. How many times have we had to like walk into somebody's office next door and get something? And I don't understand. I mean, I think it was Google who originally back during the pandemic went to full remote work. Now they've gone back to where you have to work on site. I think that most companies have gone back to some kind of on-site work instead of just fully being remote.
Yeah, I think there's like at least for me, I feel like there's a benefit for like a hybrid situation where it's like sometimes you can't go in, but then sometimes it's like it's good to go into the office, for example, like with here, like especially like figuring out camaraderie, figuring out things right away instead of having to message someone. It's a lot easier. But I've also found some benefits to having a hybrid system, or like at least an online one where it's like, let's say it's like 7:00 and we're already finished for the day. It's like we finish at 5, but then something comes in where it's like, oh, we missed this edit.
Yep.
And then the person's already out of the office, but if they were, let's say, online or remote, they'd have been like, oh, I had the project ready. I could just do that quick change in 2 seconds and send it back.
Yeah, I mean, I think that my problem when it comes to the remote side of things, working remotely, is that when things need to be done, if you don't have direct access over to that person, in my opinion, we've lost productivity. Mm-hmm. Give you an example. I need an answer to a question right now. I can't get said answer because the person doesn't answer their phone at home because they're making themselves some lunch that's in their kitchen or something like that, or they're outside walking their dog. And therefore, I'm on the phone with a client and can't get what I need. Now, some people would say, well, you should have processes in place. Let me tell you, there's nothing better than being able to just walk in and ask somebody a question, because so many things when you're building a company are nuanced. And for the individual who is working remote, I think there is an immense advantage for them. When you own the company and you want answers now, and you understand that as you build, there's always going to be nuance at every level that has to be addressed. You want people to be there to address it as quickly as possible. Sure, once you set something in place that's a process, great. Then you wouldn't need that person there. But you have no idea at which time you're going to need to change and adjust your processes as you build. And I want to be as nimble as possible as a business owner. I think that there's a big disconnect as we start the show. I didn't even think about this. There is a big disconnect in a way, Anthony, between the advantages of working remote for an employee versus the advantages for somebody who owns the business. And I don't think that that's really ever addressed. It's like I could get on here and I could go, man, working remote's a terrible thing. Everybody should be at the office. Well, then somebody who doesn't own the company goes, no, that's not good for my work-life balance, not good for my family. I can't make my kids game. If that's the case, I'd rather have 2 hours off between 5 and 7 to take my kid to practice, and then I'll continue working from 7 to 9. Meanwhile, if you own the company, you've got to be thinking about the consistency of the product you're able to deliver to your client. And so these are the things, like, in other words, if a client calls at 4:00, I want to make sure they always have somebody here that can answer their question. Instead of, well, I'm not sure because 2 people don't work on Wednesdays and Thursdays between 1 and 3 and 3 and 5. Like, I don't know. I want people to be here so that we always have somebody to address the needs of the client. That's not a popular view, that a lot of people have, because not a lot of people are the ones who own the business. I see the advantages. If you don't own the business, great for you to have the flexible schedule, but where's the advantage to the business owner?
I think one thing that what's been kind of coming in with a lot of these businesses switching almost back to kind of in person. I feel like with kind of just the whole topics for today, it's just AI, and I feel like just having, I feel like the people are just trying to get ahead of AI, where it's like, you know what, we need our position, we need our job, this is what we're doing, this is all the stuff. And so I don't know. I feel like because there was definitely like a relaxed period where it's like, oh, well, online, it's all like, especially like 2020 when everyone didn't really do much. And now with this AI, it's almost a flipped of opposite, where it's like, all right, we gotta move ahead.
I think AI is an interesting thing, because what it can do is you can get people that are very fragmented within your company and how they're resourcing their information. And because there's so many options that are now available, you could have part of your company using one AI, part using another, someone else using a hybrid system. And you have to be careful when you're working remotely, the kind of information that is being fed to employees and to companies, because so much can be automated. You can quickly lose track of that. It's why, again, I believe there's nothing that beats face-to-face human contact right now, especially when you're trying to build a relationship with a customer. And that, in my opinion, happens best when you have a group of employees all around one singular goal. And I think you get that best when people see each other, interact with one another, and they have a nuance with their conversations that allows them to, like, okay, I kind of think I see what you mean, but looking at your face, I'm not following right there.
Yeah.
And then I think there's something that locks people in. And now one of the reasons we're talking about this is because Anthropic, everybody, if you're not familiar, Anthropic is the parent company that you use for Claude. We all, or many of us, use it, or you may use ChatGPT, which is governed by OpenAI. So Anthropic has beat OpenAI to the punch, and they are going public. It could be the biggest IPO of the year. They submitted confidential paperwork to the SEC just yesterday, and it is expected to hit the market soon this fall. Why does this matter? Well, it matters because this is not an arms race. This is a money race, everyone. These people want to raise the most money to invest in the most research, to have the best AI, and then blow the other companies out of the water. This is a capitalist system that we're working with. And when you're the first one to get to the market and get an evaluation, and the money floods into your business, you've got a better chance to crush your competitors. All right. So we want to take a look at the numbers right here, and they are staggering right now when you look at what Anthropic is expected to be worth. The numbers in revenue were $47 billion in May. That was up $10 billion from a year earlier. And the last value, it was raised at north of $965 billion, everybody. A $1 trillion company will surely be the case when they go public. So the public money is going to pour in, because anybody with half a brain is going to invest in Anthropic if they can, and they're in a position to, because the upside is tremendous that you have right here. If you had an opportunity to go back and invest in Google back in 2000, wouldn't you do it? I mean, that is what people are looking at right now and saying, we have an opportunity right now to get in on the ground floor at some level of the AI race. And Anthropic has come out, and they're crushing it right now. And I'm not ready to say they're going to wipe the floor with OpenAI, but this goes to show you that sometimes coming in second is a better idea. For instance, would you rather, like, the great example of this is MySpace versus Facebook. All right. Like, you had something before there was something. Sometimes it's better not to be the first one to come to the market. And in this case, OpenAI shot out of the gate. No one could touch them. But then Anthropic comes in here with Claude and keeps on designing and coming up with a better product. And right now, they are about to reap the benefits of more money pouring into their company, more research, more data centers, more information, more tech. And it's going to be tough for OpenAI to pull out from behind this one.
I couldn't agree more. And honestly, yeah, I think that's a good point too. Sometimes it's not um like the best to be first. Sometimes the second wins, where it's like
Yeah, I'm trying to think of some good. There's a number of good examples of this, right?
Vine, TikTok, and
Great question. Yeah, great. You could say TikTok with Instagram.
that's true. Yeah.
You could point out that Instagram was first with the kind of format that it had. TikTok comes around and they actually reinvent the algorithm. What was a group-based algorithm, basically people that you were with, the things that they like, will match you based on that, became an interest-based algorithm with TikTok. So, they weren't first to that scene, but they definitely were the best now at doing that, especially when it comes to matching people with videos that are most in line with what they like. And that's why I think that it's grown to the ability that it has. I really wish I would have put together a list of some of these like first, second things. I'm trying to think like Netflix. I'm trying to think of some other ones that are out there right now, like subscription-based stuff, that it was better to be second than what it was first. And if somebody watches this, you'll probably tear me a new one, because there's probably 100 of them that people can think of right now. But Anthropic is going public, everybody. So of course, as soon as that hits, that'll be front page news across the entire world. I can't imagine the influx of cash that they're about to receive. Now, along those same lines, everyone, we have an update from our friend Jensen Huang. I can never pronounce his name. I can't. All right. He took to the stage. And if you don't know this guy, he's the guy who runs Nvidia. All right. And he has pointed out the RTX Spark is coming to a PC near you. Now, immediately upon announcing this, stock for Nvidia jumped 6.2%, making their evaluation $5.47 trillion, Anthony. Now, to give you an idea of how the mighty have fallen when it comes to the PC, look on the other side of this. Intel lost 7% with an evaluation of only $27 billion. Again, people, 5.47 trillion. Intel, which used to dominate the chip market for PCs, 27 billion. What we are seeing here is that the power of the supercomputer is coming to the PC. And so I believe this is such a huge step in the right direction right now for the availability of power and computing for the average person to be able to compete against larger companies, to be able to invent new things, to be able to run a business for themselves. There is nothing negative that I see about this at all, as Nvidia continues to push the envelope right here. And this is just going to even the playing field even more between your Fortune 500 or Fortune 1000, and then a couple of guys in their basement who say, hey, listen, we've got a better product and a better way of doing things, to go compete and actually be able to overcome what used to be a lot of barriers between money, power, resources, with stuff exactly like what Nvidia is doing right now. They're going to give that startup entrepreneur even better chance at success. And I love everything about that.
So I don't really know too much about. So it's like, so Nvidia was just like a small little company that they just grew like just a couple of years ago. Like,
no. So Nvidia is what powers your AI movement. Okay. So their chips are what is powering AI. And which leads us, in fact, let's just go into our third story that we have for the day. It's our third and final story because it's a good segue on that. So let's just take in fact, let's do this. Hold on one second. I have a good example. I'm actually going to use this. I just got this in. It's like a little workbook I have, right? Hold on. Let's take this. I'm going to take this one right here to kind of give us an idea. Okay. There we go. So let's talk about chips. And most of them are going to be Nvidia chips, right? So if we take a book like this, all right, by the way, what a great little journal right here. The Greatest Revenge is Massive Success. Tony Robbins, all right? All right, you hold up a book like this. Okay. I'm reading right here because I got this all written down. So here it is. This is one AI chip. Let's just say that right there, okay? One GPU, if you will, about the size of the book. It takes about 1,000 watts to power this thing, about a hair dryer, all right? Now, stack up 72 of them into one box, and that's actually called a rack. It's about the size of a refrigerator, okay? 2 feet by 3.5 feet by 7 feet, 3,000 pounds. and it takes up 120 to 132 kilowatts. That's about 100 American homes running off of a single box. The water that it takes, extraordinary to cool this thing. We're going to get to that in a minute. Now, take these refrigerators and expand those into multiple football fields, let's say 800 of them. That's a data center. All right. The power of that is 100 megawatts that it takes to do that. That's about the electricity of 100,000 houses, a whole city in a building the size of a few football fields. All right. Now, if you look at how much water it takes to actually cool this, it'd be somewhere between 300,000 gallons a day, with the biggest data centers taking 5 million gallons a day. That's enough to actually get about 50,000 people by right there. So these data centers taking up somewhere about, I don't know, let's see here, fill a football field. All right. A football field full of these things. See here now, football field, refrigerators call, yeah. So a football field full of these 800 refrigerators that are filled with 72 of these chips right here are going to take enough water for 50,000 people, and they're going to take enough electricity for, let's see here, a whole city. And that to me is where people are not talking about. Now, if you want to look at what's happening in the news right now, it's Erin Brockovich. And if you remember, this was like the Julia Roberts character that was played in the early 2000s, the hit movie. She like saves a town from I think it was like a water plant or something like that, poisoning them. She's actually a real person. She's come out with BrockovichDataCenter.com, where it tracks the data centers that are popping up all over the United States. The numbers are staggering. There's almost 4,500 of these data centers that are popping up across the U.S. Texas, Illinois, Florida, all the places, Pennsylvania, that you would expect these data centers to start popping up. And then you've got these massive ones, like these complexes we're talking about, that are like, I want to say hundreds of football fields long, that are taking up millions upon, I mean, it's just unbelievable the amount of resources that it takes to make this happen. And so I don't think people really understand that the search you do on Claude, when you ask it a question, takes an immense amount more power than when you went to Google and simply just said, I don't know, restaurants near me for dinner, and it gave you a list of restaurants. When you ask it for that now, and it gives you the reviews, and it goes ahead and thinks about your previous searches, and it gives you stuff that's near you and stuff that it feels you'd be willing to drive to, stuff where you went before and how you liked it. All of this stuff takes a deeper amount of research, which means a lot more electricity to make it work.
That's crazy. Yeah, I'm just looking up like all the data centers that's around. It's crazy.
There's a couple places you can go, but you can go to Erin Brockovich, or let's say BrockovichDataCenter.com, and that's going to be open source right there, so people can submit if something is being built in their town, because she's trying to bring awareness. I mean, she's an activist. I mean, the movie was made about her. She's trying to bring awareness to the fact that, yes, AI is a beautiful thing, but how are we going to power this beautiful thing that we're creating, right? And in the meantime, the people that are making money on these data centers are your Amazons, obviously your Microsofts, people like that. Nvidia, of course, with their chips, they're making a crap ton of money on this stuff. Your Googles, people like this are the ones that are making a lot of money on these data centers. And people ask, they go, well, what exactly is a data center used for? They're nothing new. They've been around for 50 years. It's just we have now exponentially increased the need to create data centers by the need for more computing power to do these complex equations that are necessary for AI to spit back out that answer on Claude about all the restaurants that you've liked in the past, all the information that you need instantly at a fingertips. And so as you use AI, understand, for all my client activists that are out there who you want to go save the world, well, as you use your AI, understand the power that it is taking to make that AI happen right now. You can't have the best of both worlds. Erin Brockovich is pointing that out when it comes to the size of these chips and how much power and water it's going to take to satisfy our future right here, to make this future happen.
That's crazy. So then, and then people that's when you're talking about before, like a month ago, like People have been like, I guess, using like Mac Minis to make a data center at home. Like they just connect.
Yeah, I think that what we're going to see, that is, in my opinion, the gold rush of the future right now is the, I think that what you're going to find, Anthony, is that these, like anything, the data center of today will be half the size in 5 years. And then it'll be half that size in 15 or 20 years. And the same thing happened with computers. We have more in a cell phone right now than what we had in an entire room in the 1970s. So imagine these data centers become simply just the size of your phone inside your home. That's going to happen. And what we're going to find is these data centers will have their lifespan where people will make the gold rush on them, and then they will fade as it becomes less and less power necessary to do these computing equations, because people like Nvidia, OpenAI, and Claude continue to reinvent and put money into this thing to make them more powerful, take up less resources, more speed, and we're going to see this stuff shrink.
Yeah.
We're in the beginning stages of this. We're in the 1970s where we had a whole computer room where it's just powering NASA. Like we're gonna figure this thing out. I think that if I had to take a wild guess about how it happens, one of two ways. Either one, we go towards a data center in the home, which means that each home is going to be its own data center, or we go to space with it, which I think could be more likely. Because you don't need, when it's whatever temperature it is in space, you don't need to cool the stuff in space. So when you don't have to worry about the cooling of everything as it runs hot, then I think you've got a better opportunity. And so I think that people like Musk and I think people like Bezos see that the future of these data centers is in space, which is why they're investing so heavily into their programs. I don't think they're doing this out of the goodness of their heart. They're doing it because they see the frontier of data centers is in space right now, not sitting in the middle of a desert in Texas, where it takes millions of gallons of water to be able to cool the thing to work. There's nothing efficient about that. And these billionaires are not sitting there going, I can't wait to get to Mars. Oh, Mars is the next frontier. No, the frontier that they're thinking of is orbiting around the planet with data centers in the billions and billions that they're going to be able to make by owning those data centers that are going to be floating around the globe in the next couple of years. That's what these guys are after, not the next frontier of landing on the moon or going to Mars. Don't be so naive as to think these people are so philanthropic that they're just doing this out of the goodness of their heart and the future of humanity. Data centers in space are the future, and that's the reason we see what we see right now, because you can't power them in America. You can't power them on Earth for much longer. What, 4,000 becomes 8,000, Anthony? Then what? 8,000 becomes 20,000 data centers in America? Then what? At some point, you don't have the resources to power the AI that we're going to need. So either the AI has to become more efficient or we take it off of the planet. And in my opinion, just simply shooting it in a rocket off of the planet seems like it might be more of an effective deal than it is to try to come up with the tech to make this stuff exponentially more efficient.
Yeah.
I think I answered my question right there. I think we just go to space with it.
Just make the moon a data.
I know you're kind of joking about that,
But it could happen.
but I mean, it could. I don't know. I just think that it's a very inefficient way right now that we have to build the tech that we need.
Yeah.
Or I should say, it's a very inefficient way to power the tech that we have. AI, it needs more power, and we're going to continue to need more as the complex equations and the thinking that we want AI to do becomes more complex.
Yeah.
And so either we've got to find a way to power it more efficiently, or we've got to be able to develop chips and processors that work more efficiently. Maybe you do both at the same time, but we also have the ability to send this stuff into space. And I believe that's where the goodness of Elon Musk going to, push the human limits. I think it really comes down to owning those data centers where it'd be most efficient to be able to have them working, where there is no need to cool these things because they're sitting there orbiting around the planet.
Yeah.
My 2 cents worth, for what it's worth, because I am surely no AI expert, but it is all over the news right now. Erin Brockovich, I mean, good movie. Check it out if you're a little younger, early 2000s, Julia Roberts in her prime, everybody. If you don't get a chance for that, go and check out what is going on with Claude. I should say with Anthropic, because they will go public here very soon. And of course, we got those Nvidia chips making their way into PCs near you, one step closer to getting that supercomputer right into your home. Thanks so much. I know we have a short show for you here today, everybody. Not a lot going on in the news. We look for it. We'll have a better show for you tomorrow. Look forward to seeing you then. Have a great Tuesday ahead. Thanks so much. Oh, we got some comments.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Instagram. We're getting more people. I guess I should actually start to take that seriously, that we're actually live. We have actual people that are actually watching. Yeah. That's funny. That's great. I love that. Because, I mean, for me, there you go.
Honestly, too,